So they'll be calling you a radical. I wanted to get a video because everybody's asking me on the earthquake in Japan, which is a big one on the East Coast. And Dana's done a lot of work on it. And the nuclear reactors that exist there. Now, this is important. How can we not know? One word, Fukushima. The only reason we know about Fukushima, by the way, we got a giant snowstorm here in Snow, Utah. We got a foot here where I'm at. It's, woo. So, the only reason, think about this. Fukushima, the only reason they were not able to cover up Fukushima 100%, which they almost did, was the activist world had a barge out there with a cam on it because we were all expecting it. And before the media realized that the nuclear energy crime scum owns them, before they got the wagon circuit, they forgot to get the memo. Anderson, Vanderbilt, Cooper, and Sanjay Gupta in Japan. Nuclear meltdown. No hydrogen blast on any gun to show. Japanese are tidy people, Helen. They cleaned it up. Chris Busby, freaking the ocean's a big place. It'll dilute. They roll out on the dime the fake resistance. So, the only reason you have any clue is that live cam. Visual proof shows that a 9-point earthquake blew the nuclear reactors to smithereens. And sheep still believe. You don't think sheep are hypnotized in this country. Saddam Hussein has weapons of mass destruction. They'll go along with anything. And then the vloggers, call it a hoax. Your YouTube site goes to the moon. They bow to their AdSense account and they just nuanced you up. Anybody who told the truth, they slandered viciously. Ask Kevin Blanch. They've come out and admitted anybody used the term Fukushima nuclear meltdowns was gone after. Illegally, by the way, the only person that was using the term nuclear meltdowns for a long time was Kevin Blanch. So they go after me. And then I get cancer in 2011. What a coincidence. AML looked at me, give me 2 months to live. They knew Rachel Carson, not me. So will we know in Eastern Japan? We won't. People forget that Yalta by the Sea, the agreements after World War II, the United States took total control of Japan. Pop Oapi dropped. Pop, they never stopped. We have Oapi. When everybody said no, one of the greatest mass murderers, him and Truman, in human history. I will quote Hoover. Hoover, never in the history of mankind has any nation, war, armed military indiscretionally mass murdered women and children till now. It revolts my soul. August 7th, 1945. So, baby never born, mother never pregnant. They knew. Everybody backed out, including Leo, who wrote the letter. They all backed out. Einstein was appalled. Well, they wouldn't let him in. Hell of a way to boil a planet. So the only reason we know that there's any meltdowns at Fukushima is that live cam. And Anderson, Vanderbilt, Cooper said meltdowns how many times? They had Jim Walsh on there. He was an expert from MIT. Yeah, real expert. He ended up in China reporting on financial markets. I mean, they have the narrative written before any accident happens, before any earthquake happens, it's already written. They'll come out within minutes after all reactors have been checked, they're 100% fine. They'll have that narrative. Sometimes they'll come out within seconds of an earthquake. It's already written, and they're told what to do in the American sheep. The thing that blows my mind is the American journalism in the United States goes along. State secrets. They've never disclosed that they classified Fukushima in the state secret. That's never been disclosed. Well, I know they have, and I know they classified me because I got emails from the Army Corps of Engineers, people from the inside. In those days, before they circled the wagons, everybody fled from me. They can't. It's like a guy says, "Oh, you're crazy. Freaking Fukushima never caused wasting." Oh, really? Tell me what did cause wasting disease? 2012. So this whole scientific community that got against me, such as mystified, baffled, something clear. Then tell me where it all came from and why was it such a sudden acute event? In science, we call those outliers. We have data now. We have regressionary models that point that we know unarguably and unfactually that the Pacific Ocean and the North American Western ecology had one of the greatest outliers in human history. It's the biggest one since the Spanish flu. We know happened in 2011. That's factual data now. Unarguable. Unarguable. We have the salmon numbers. We have the well now. It's a hell of a well of a swell. It's a swell of a hell of a well. It's a well of a hell of a swell. You know, come to Point Loma for years. Pay $25, kiddies, to come look at dead tide pools. I mean, I think it's so metaphorical. And if you've never read the book, children's book, which is really not a children's book, Hans Christian Andersen, who my great-grandfather was named Christian Andersen from Denmark. If you never read that, you need to read it. The nuclear energy emperors have no clothes. That's exactly what this is. Everybody's going to play along because everybody in this country is lock, stock, barrel. What I read the other day, 80% of all crypto companies are nothing but scams. And the one young guy says, well, this generation's can't buy a house by just being a working class guy. So the whole thing's a scam. By the way, talk about scam. My water heater and furnace went out. And, you know, your pipes will freeze up. You know, it's the dead middle of winter and it's hardcore winter. So you call people, whatever. It's like, a year ago I was having open surgery. And right before you go into the night, well, the butcher said, they put a thing, sign here. What are you going to do, say no? Same thing with them. They come in, well, it's going to be the X amount of money. We got to of course, it's always got to be replaced, you know. And, of course, that water heater's 35 years old. I know it has to be replaced. But the furnace, whatever, you know. And what are you going to do, tell them no? Sign on the dotted line? I mean, they got you because they're all conditioned. These younger people, well, everybody is in lock, stock, barrel to, it's like this. Ask not what I can do for my country. Ask what I can loot from my country. I think that's all. That's exactly what Americana is. Ask what I can loot from my country. You know, the American loot job called the PPP loan, it's all the jobs. Nuclear energy, pork, Price Anderson, what's that? Went after Afghanistan to kill the Taliban when they had nothing to do with 9/11. Went after Iraq to get Dick Cheney and Prince had nothing to do with 9/11. When they can hypnotize you on that, when they were all Saudis, and you know, the global elites, they're coming to get us. So everybody's against the global elites, yet the very same people that are against vote for the same people that empower the global elites. You don't think a zero taxpayer on billionaires empowers global elites? Oh my God. But they've got the country hypnotized. How do they do it? One by just stream, two by cable TV, Operation Foxconn News. You got a massive snowstorm here. And so we're going to get a hell of a well of a swell in SoCal. I'm trying to handle this furnace thing. Of course, I can't do it on the weekend. Hope you're just praying your pipes don't freeze up, or you don't freeze to death. You know, we'll be here Monday morning. Ooh, it's going to get bitter, brutal cold. And so they got you, and that's what they're trained and told to do. They think the pinnacle of life is to extort, to rob. I mean, it's all money chasing. Well, like I said, you can't buy a house being working class. So they've turned the whole culture into schemers and scammers. That's what they are. So, by the way, how about Weber State basketball? I had Oral Roberts last night. Whew. Epic. So, Dana's work on it, he's all over it. But here's the bottom line. It's impossible for us to know. Because if you report anything in reality, they're probably going to strike you for truth is, and then you got the other extremists who've gone completely loco and just make shit up, you know? So how can we possibly know? And if you don't believe the media's on the take, we got a big storm here. Really big storm here. So the mighty Wasatch is full. I mean, massive. It's a big boy. So there's no way to know. And if Fukushima doesn't prove it, the only reason we know about Fukushima is that live cam, right? Yeah. And Kevin Blanch. But look what they did to me. Let's see, I've had open heart surgery twice. They slandered me to the point that it destroyed my 3 radio shows. I had millions of followers. Millions. Why don't you anymore? Slander. They hired teams of trolls, NEI, which has been undocumented with my own money. You know, they nuked my father and they got a test site, the drafted Marine, and tried to make a sequel out of me. And they've slandered me to no end when there's dozens of YouTube sites and Facebook pages 100, most of them are gone now, but they were everywhere to 100% with my name on it. They called me every name in the book. Slandered me. They were saying I faked my cancer when I'm in the bone marrow transplant, LDS-E8 with a central line hanging on my jugular vein. Video proof. With my chest split open, my heart ripped out twice. I mean, I lost my teeth, my gallbladder. I paid such a heavy price. They financially destroyed me. They socially destroyed me. You know, but that's their game. Remember what they did to Karen Silkwood? Don't forget that. Kevin and Karen Silkwood, they try to make a sequel. My daughter says, people used to call me the modern day Rachel Carson. Well, look what happened to her. You know, and then you got cancer, and I'm like, no, I'm not martyring myself for no one. You know, I got a life to live. So there's no way we could possibly know, because we have the three greatest cowards in history. Barack Obama, dumb, filmed in Ogden, Utah. Obama, dumber. Trump, dumbest. Remember Trump? I asked him in Utah, you gonna talk about Fukushima? You gonna lift the lid on Fukushima? Yes. Made Fox News. Did he? Did he? Did he? He met with a bee. Now think about the fact that he met with a bee. A bee heard and got his letter jet and flew to Manhattan. I was there. I was at the White House. Play back the tape. I was there. He was the first one in Trump Towers. You should have seen that war zone. Oh, he's the first one after inauguration. At Mar-a-Lago, they blacked out the windows and met for 3 days. What do you think they're talking about, their golf game? The bee was nervous because they thought, sure, Hillary, and they had her in their pocket. Got to talk to Henry before we go to Fukushima. Obama called it a typhoon on Jimmy Kimmel right before. Did you ever get calls in the middle of the night, Obama? Yeah, of course. I'm Jimmy Kimmel. There's a bright one. Of course I did. He's the president of the United States. Like what? For example, like when Fukushima happened. Jimmy Kimmel, I live in San Francisco, because they think they're their imperialism, their elites, they're above it, you know. Go Padres, they think they're above it. What, he got cancer in 2011? Yep. So, recently passed away. Oh, my age. What a brat. You know, the typhoon. Of course, Trump won't mention it. Still hasn't mentioned it to this day, and you think he's your counterculturist. Okay. I'm a butcher, what's a cow? I'm a baker, what's a cake? I'm a counterculturist. I'm an environmentalist. I'm an activist. I'm a scientist. I'm a professor. I'm a history teacher. What's Fukushima? Because they're all on the winning team. Lock, stock, barrel. Ask not what you can do for your country. Ask what you can loot for you from your country. The American way. Really out of control debt. I remember when the debt was a major issue when Clinton was running, and it was $3 trillion. Major issue. You know, and both left and right agreed to downsize the military in 90. What? What? The right agreed to? Yep. Left and right. Left and right agreed to get the budget in order, had a surplus, and they agreed to downsize the military. Look it up. Which they did. The tax rate was what? About 40% on these global elites. Now it's 0. What happened? The gift that keeps on giving. 9/11 to 3/11. 9/11. What? They were Saudis? Yeah. Mama was actually Egyptian, but the rest were all Saudis. You know, except I think there was one from Jordan. None of them were from Iraq or Afghanistan. Bin Laden's Saudi. So, was he the mastermind? That's debatable. Muhammad Atta. So look what we did. We looted the kitty, and then, you know, Ayn Rand Greenspan. I was talking to this guy who was bidding my furnace. And I'm like, dude, when they slashed the interest rate, the traditional interest rate, I used to teach in my class. Just remember how many home runs that Babe Ruth hit. 714, 7.14 with the traditional interest rate. This guy who used to put their money in the bank. And, you know, as Einstein said, the most powerful concept on earth is compounding. By the way, I wasn't talking about your interest rate in your bank. What's a hell of a way to boil the water? And, you know, when I was young, I was a gifted student, young gifted student, and I was in the Aaron Swartz cap before there was ever on Swartz Self-Educate. You know, I graduated from high school, 698, in a class of 699, fast times at Weber High. Well, they had to let me graduate because I didn't really go. It was so ridiculous. I would have I get the highest score, so they graduated. And when I'm in college, I'm already studying. You know, they wanted me to get into the lie called theoretical physics. And then I'm like, well, you do know about entanglement, as Einstein called it, spooky from a distance. You know about that. You're going to ignore that? Which proves that it is all theoretical. Even Einstein at the end of his year, he got away from it. He's like, don't even go down that road. Human mind can't comprehend. He spent his whole life, he had a figure, go be a plasterer, which I did. I says, no, I need to be a plasterer with my hawk and crow. Self-educate. But it's hard to self-educate on the internet because they have it slaughtered. The radical freaks just make up shit and lie, and then they promote it. YouTube, Fukushima was a hoax. Your YouTube site, guys, you think about it. I had millions and millions of views. I had 3 radio shows. I was everywhere. I always go back to Alex Jones and Jeff Rance. I'm doing the tide pool work. Well, I'm full of critical condition. I'm almost dead. I was unsure when I got cancer. I was telling him I had all that Tesla stock and all that. Play back your tape in 2011. I'm just go all in Apple. I ran into my buddy who inherited 10 million, right? Which I was helping him manage his dime. And this is in 2010, 2009. I said, just go in all Apple. You inherited 10 million, put 5 million in. His wife didn't like me. And she made him sell it in 2011, right before I got cancer. I says, how'd that work out for you? Oh, she's divorced and we're getting divorced. Okay. So I had all that Tesla stock. Well, I was unsure. I had to sell it. I had $1 million with Tesla and Apple. Well, that was before I knew what scumbag Elon Musk was. Just another, don't pay taxes, have more kids. I'm like, what the fuck? So, it wasn't meant to be. It wasn't, My path got all that because I got cancer, hit by a freight train called leukemia in 2011. It just bowled me over. Bad doctor, good doctor. I saw the worst of the worst doctor, including recently. They made me sweat it out over Christmas this year because they claimed I got a bad leukemia test. Didn't bother telling me for 9 days when it's usually 48 hours. Made me sweat it out over Christmas, and tell me, oh, it was a mistake. Oh, fuck. So I've seen the worst of the worst. I've seen the best of the best. Dr. God saved my life. Connors and Collado, not so much. Had my gallbladder replaced 5 years. The chemo took out my teeth, took out my gallbladder. Yeah, but I had no chance to live. I had a radical form of ML, really radical. And so it's been a hard 12 years. It's been good, but it's important to understand that we cannot know about any nuclear disaster, especially in Japan. The United States took Japan. Barry Antoinette Obama, the only truth he ever said. He told the greatest lie in human history, and Trump doubled down on it. Deciding old man Biden, well, he was in on it. Come on, he was vice president when Fukushima happened. You don't think he knows? Stand on the Rose Garden. The 17th of March, 2011. Scientists are telling us the plume is coming over us right now. But scientists tell us there's no harm and there's no need for precautions. I will keep you abreast what I know because you deserve as the American populace. Never said it again. The exact same time, Sheila. I don't believe anybody hasn't do videos about Sheila's emails. They weren't Hillary's emails, but they were Hillary's emails. They were Hillary's emails. They were to her. Sheila wrote, though. She worked for Obama. The plume is coming over us right now. It has radionuclear fallout in it. So don't go on site. Don't take any chances. Take some iodine tablets if you have them. Wash your clothes. Take a shower. When Obama, obviously, that was the same day. And that got leaked out, and then retraction. Got to talk to Henry before I go to Fukushima. What? That's Hillary Clinton. To her, back and forth. So we know he told the greatest lie in human history. He knew. He was flown to South America with a lot of the so-called GE elites, flying 2 planes, one after the other. And by the way, Jack Welch was the greatest Ponzi scheme in human history. And who perpetuated it? CNBC. CNBC is the greatest propaganda nuclear frauds. Kramer? Oh my God. Go listen to Kramer. You go broke. But they prop those people up. Of course they prop them up. Because they think they're wealth. They think that is their wealth. They don't understand that your health is your wealth. It's been a hard 12 years. I don't know what I'm going to do economically, socially. They've destroyed me. But that doesn't mean I quit fighting. I'm fighting cancer. No days off. Just keep on battling. So there's no way to know what happened in Japan because the United States, who do you think built all those reactors at Fukushima, or on a Ring of Fire, Fukushima? I used to do lecture after lecture. What is going to happen? For years, Fukushima Daiichi, Fukushima Diani, sending off for your Diablo Canyon. Why? They're building the Ring of Fire. Well, you don't get earthquakes, tsunamis. We got them all closed down. Mother Nature took care of 2 of them. But in Japan, we circled around. We did that. The United States, Yalta by the Sea. Barack Obama. These trees were signed long before I was born. Yeah, they were. No truth he said. Trump doubles down with me. What happened to B blows my mind, to be honest with you. It still blows my mind how they can let that happen. I mean, he was on a camp-based speech with no security. What the hell? Dead men don't talk. You know, but he wasn't prime minister, was he? No, Nato Khan was. Nato Khan was an anti-nuclear. How'd they force him out? How'd they keep propping up nukers? I just told you, Yalta by the Sea. The U.S. has control in Japan. Total control. That's who does everything, and they have control of the media. They have control of YouTube. The so-called bloggers and the activists, they go along because there's no environmentalists. Greenpeace, Sierra Club, all these people, they're simply in it for the money. That's what all it is anymore. When they change the NGO rule, you keep 20%. When the NFL is a nonprofit, think about that. Wow, yeah, that's how they did it. They've got the entire country hypnotized into believing that ask not what you can do for your country, ask what you can loot for your country. The last anti-nuclear in the White House. Somewhat pseudo factors. Carter, he's still alive. But 3 Mile Island, did you know the head of the NRC who pulled that scam lockery just passed away the other day? Head of the NRC during 79, I think at 98 years old. So, they've had a long time to tool this cover-up. When we still haven't seen the footage from Hiroshima and Nagasaki to this day. You know, it's like when the Enola Gay hangar, the Enola Gay flies out of Utah. They reached out to me, Sudoku's great niece, and says, and Jim, we want to come to the hangar and reach out the olive branch. You know, she died of what they call the atom bomb disease in Japan, which is leukemia, holding 1,000 paper cranes. I got to hold that paper crane in my hand. She cried when she handed it to me, hugged me. Don't you think that's a major story? They flew out of Utah. 7th generation Utah. His father, who was drafted and nuked to death in a Nevada test site, where the Enola Gay was launched from, who dropped it on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. They call it the atom bomb disease over there. And they've just been covering it up ever since. They come. We send out emails to Utah State, Weber State, University of Utah, Weber State, Wattis Construction, Nuke U. Kevin Blanch has been blackballed. You know, all my degrees. What they've done to me. You go look at my transcript and you're like, how does you have 15 degrees? And the greatest PhD in human history. I had to go rogue, didn't I? Aaron Swartz. Before there was Aaron Swartz, it was Kevin Blanch. You know, I knew Aaron Swartz personally. 35 years for a nonviolent crime downloading the server at MIT Media. Why would it go to MIT Media? Why would Laura and Glenn Greenwald, would he hand it to her, the chick? The bunker in Hawaii where they orchestrated to cover up Fukushima. Why? Why would he hand it? Glenn Greenwald's a Fox News contributor, Operation Foxconn News. How did they do it? One by jet stream, 2 by Anderson Mandelko, nuclear meltdown. He said it hundreds of times. Sanjay Gupta gets home 2 weeks into it. Well, Sanjay Gupta, MD, has a doctor from Japan. I just found out radiation's not bad. This person had an artist from Michigan. I was sick with rheumatic fever in my bed, watching everything about Chernobyl, and I was like, oh, thought it was going to be 3 eyeballs, so I went to Chernobyl. It's perfectly fine. I'm like, whoa, this is a practicing MD. He violated his oath, but it don't matter. So is there other meltdowns in Japan? No doubt in my mind. When the 9-pointer hit, there was probably multiple meltdowns. The only reason we know about the beast monster is because Fukushima had one, believe it or not, in 97 and 90. That's a small one comparably to this. On what day? You got it. March 11th, the day, right? The pandemic was declared March 11th. Both of them. Yes, look it up. Spanish flu and the 2020. Fukushima happened twice on March 11th. I mean, yeah. So we had the live cam there. Every activist knew that was the beast of all beasts because it has so much spent fuel, including MOX fuel, was made against the law in the United States, so they sent it there. What's that? So how could we know? We don't. You could have a meltdown here. If we have one in Diablo Canyon, will we know? I think so, because, and some guy says, oh, you wouldn't know how to use it. Fuck. I have several Geiger counters. What's a Geiger counter do? You're going to go put it in the ocean water? You're going to put an extra fish? You're going to tell you? This never happened at Mayak, never happened to San Susana, never happened to 3 Mile Island. What's coming off Fukushima? You don't even know what it is, but we have the data. We have the byproduct data. You cannot ignore Kevin Blanch's work. The tide pools wipe out, the salmon collapse. It's a well. Orcas in San Diego, yay, yay. They're swimming with the dolphins when they're eating. They should never be there. Bioluminescence in the wintertime. It's a hell of a well of a swell. You think we've had a hell of a well of a swell? Wait till the 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th. I'll show you a hell of a well of a swell. I'll be back in Southern California, probably dilemma. I got to get this furnace hand. I got to think, oh, I got a nightmare on my hands, but nothing new for me. Never free, never me, Kevin D. Why? Because I did the unforgiven. I took on the nuclear energy crime scene and I told the truth about Fukushima. So you can argue with me about what caused wasting disease, what caused the well disease. But we have regressionary models now. In science, we don't use mystified, baffled, curious. We don't use coincidence. We use hard data, and it wasn't gradual because we know the salmon data. Just down 97% on most rivers, from the Kenai all the way to the Jedites. The Jedites, we know factually they're dying at sea. Everything, it's an eco chain. So we know if you run regression models on the whales, on the tide pools, on the starfish, on the salmon, we have all the data. The outliner will point, unarguably, deviate from the mean a billion times, will point to 2011. We know scientifically, unarguably, there was some kind of radical event happening in the Pacific Ocean or the Western North American ecology, the heat bubble, the whole thing. We know unarguable. It's unarguable data. So we have to look for the culprit. The only argument you can have, what changed, not in a gradual, it's like chronic leukemia, but it's acute. They use the word acute cancer on you, it's on. Chronic's different. You can go to fight and you go to work, which I used both chemo and holistic, didn't I? I only had 3 rounds of chemo, they want to fight. I never had a transplant. I'm alive. It's been a hell of a fight. But I've used both. And fighting back. Fighting back against the people that gave me cancer. I'm not ignorant. I know what happened to my dad. I know what happened to Annika. What am I supposed to do? Just lay down and die? They wish, but it's a hard fight. It's a heavy, hard fight. So stay tuned. The fight goes on. Before Kevin reached into the bag and he slung the stone. It's like, we're winning this fight, but there's going to be a lot of collateral damage. Oh, my God. Are you kidding? This is not going away. So hopefully I'll be back in SoCal on the 10th, to watch. Because I was going to go to Monterey, but I think I'm going to SoCal because I think it might be the last chance to get the real super low tides. There's a couple tide pools that I didn't get that I want to get. And I think the Crystal Pier and the OB Pier might be the last time I get to see those. Those 2 piers mean a lot to me. I've been on all 54 piers. The pier here, and I think this thing might be so epic it might take them out. I mean, it's a hell of a well. It's a well of a hell of a swell. It's a swell of a hell of a well. And orcas swimming with dolphins, they're eating. Should never be there. The only reason I don't live in San Diego is the water. So stay tuned. There's no way we can know what's going to Japan. Because the YouTube bloggers that do tell the truth, they're going to go after you like a wolf, like Kevin Blanch, which they've admitted. And the thing that we have coward media, we have coward science professors, we have cowards from A to Z. To think that there's no byproduct from 3 full meltdowns into the 3 core meltdowns is the greatest mental illness. And if it's like this, if we're not afraid of nuclear meltdown, why would we spend so much hundreds of billions and billions and trillions of Google to prevent nuclear meltdowns? First time in human history. Chernobyl was a partial graphite reactor that blew up, which is nasty and vicious. Of course, Sanjay Gupta says it was just okay. It's all okay. 3 full core meltdowns. This is the first time in human history 7 spent fuels just chucked full 40 years of waste, blown to smithereens with visual proof. And we know factually that 7.8 is about as big as they can handle. It was a 9 on the Richter. I mean, and it's ignorant to think it didn't happen in other reactors. We just don't know. We didn't have lab cams. And you don't think they can cover stuff up? Just remember this. Saddam Hussein had weapons when they full well knew that he did not. Went after Afghanistan to kill the Taliban. Went after Iraq to get a big old sack. Went after Vietnam to kill the Viet Cong. Pop, be dropped. They never stop. Stop at the parallel. Stop at the parallel in Korea. No, I'm crossing the parallel. I'm going to turn it to hell. Freaking went after Vietnam to kill the Viet Cong. Huh. Ooh, downsizing the military in the 90s. 9/11 went after Afghanistan to kill the Taliban. Went after Iraq to get Dick Cheney and friends. Big old sack. The oligarchs make it rain in Ukraine. Proxy war on Balco. Middle East of Eden. Whoa. The war pigs and the nuclear energy crime scum. The so-called global elites, they're one and the same. They have total control of you. Stand up to them like Kevin Lash did. Ooh. It's biblical. It's biblical. It's biblical. Stand